What is up, my fellow skeletons? UnKellAble here, and welcome to Contra Spem Spero, a visual novel horror game that involves the main protag stuck in a forest in the hopes to escape. And without further ado, let's get into it. The goddamn car broke down again. I did check all the parts before leaving. They were working fine then and are now, but it won't start. I can't just wait, not this time. Just in case I forget anything important, I'll use my journal and camera as always. Now I have to grab the backpack and go find some help. The essentials, my wallet, driver's license, and flashlight are in my pockets. The gas station shouldn't be too far from here. I remember that. I decided to go down the road. I got Polaroid paper plus 40, water bottle plus 1, pocket knife plus 1, wallet plus 1, driver's license plus 1, and a flashlight plus 1. August 14th, road 2112, or 912. Go down the road. August 15th, first clearing, 226. The road disappeared. I was walking straight forward, without turning, and it vanished right under my feet, replaced by bare ground. The moment I realized that, I headed back, but still couldn't find it. I'm surrounded by trees. It looks like I got deep into a forest. Some glowing orange eyes have been following me for a while. If it's an animal, that's a really big one, and I don't want to get to know it better. There's no point in staying in one place either. I decide to proceed further, get some rest, or scream for help. Notes. Oh, we can type our own notes. Okay, that's intriguing. Are you sure you want to quit to main menu? Okay, that's the exit button. Inventory, Polaroid paper, water bottle, and a pocket knife. So this is like a choose your own adventure book. And you can go back to look at everything. Proceed further. I decided to proceed deeper into the forest. After wandering around for a while, I happened to find a flare gun, as if purposely hidden between some tree roots that I tripped over. Did someone actually leave it here? Why? I took it in case there were also flares to be found somewhere near. I feel tired already. The path I'd been following had also disappeared. No sign of it anywhere. Night has come, the darkness is overwhelming, and the reading light doesn't quite help. I can't believe this forest was always this deep. There's not much I can do right now. So I'm wondering what these are. The health, maybe? I decided to continue walking, get some rest, or scream for help. I continued walking, but couldn't see a damn thing. Even if there were anything useful, I wouldn't notice it. My main focus was not to trip over again and die earlier. So I moved very slowly and was getting nowhere. I decided to keep walking, get some rest, or scream for help. Let's try this option. I decided to scream for help. Not the smartest thing to do considering the circumstances, but I panicked. I was far more tired than I expected to be from such a simple action. Nobody came, but I felt a presence. Some animal hiding behind those bushes. The path I'd been following has also disappeared. No sign of it anywhere. Night has come, the darkness is overwhelming, and the reading light doesn't quite help. I can't believe this forest was always this deep. There's not much I can do right now. What in the actual hell was that? The moment I let my guard down, I heard some screeching. Had to run away blindly and ended up losing a thing or two. When I realized exactly which things those were, I was about ready to lose my mind. If I can't find them later, I swear to God. I decided to examine the surroundings. Oh, I lost a wallet, driver's license, and a flashlight. Alright. This forest is full of wild animals. It feels as if every move is being watched. I changed my mind about staying in one place. Maybe too dangerous, especially in such a conspicuous one. How ironic. I find myself in a clearing. Wish the road were right behind that tree line. I think I see someone standing next to it, but I'm not sure if they're facing my way. If I call out, this person won't be the only one to know my location. I got an idea. The flash may attract their attention. I decided to take a photo. It did. Looked like they waved at me. When I got closer as carefully as I could not to make too much noise, the silhouette became more vague. I asked in a whisper if they knew how to get out of here. There was no response. I'll glance at that photo to make sure I didn't imagine things and I'm not talking to a human-shaped tree snag. I decided to look closer at the photo. New one. You're gonna die in here, fool. You're gonna die. He's mine. Fresh meat. Don't run. Pointless shush bosses here. Oh. This cannot be happening. I decided to fight, run away, or pass out. I guess run. You should have wished for a better ending. What happens if I pass out? Oh. August 15th, camp, 2212. I decided to, well, I didn't. I just passed out. When I regained consciousness, I still couldn't understand what happened exactly. What was that? The last thing I saw was those orange eyes I'd already spotted earlier. I felt too scared and weightless to do anything. An old man brought me back to my senses. He said something about being trapped in this forest for a long time too. But I didn't... Actually, I don't know if I can believe myself at the moment. He's leading me somewhere where it's always safe. I had no choice but to follow. He said they'd come back if I refused, and also commended my ability to deftly record things in any conditions. I'm well aware of its value. Still, I prefer to think events through before writing them down, even if sometimes it's even more complicated than doing that at once. I decided to follow the old man. We reached a camp. The tents here are obviously handmade but look neat. The man introduced himself as Rob. He gave me a folded paper sheet and said, "Here, take the thing. Maybe you'll find a better use for it than I did. Don't forget your old man when you find a way out of here, eh? I sure hope you will." There was another one inside, but empty. The first one turned out to be a shabby hand-drawn map. Did he really depict the forest in it? Perhaps I should use my cam more often, to have at least some idea of my surroundings and check it, hopefully. But not to overdo it. I still have only a few pieces of Polaroid photo paper left. Or I could just wait till morning, not that I feel safe in the presence of another human. He's still a stranger after all. I decided to take a photo. Riddles. Okay. Oh. So we have riddles, a map. We can make our own notes. Obviously an inventory. When I took a photo, Rob got closer and said, "What you got there? A camera? Looked like an owl to me. Bizarre photos you have there, buddy. Your cam has a flash, eh? I ain't seen one when you took me a picture. That's the way light works here. Or doesn't. Who knows? Depends on what the force wants you to notice. That could come in handy, so cling to that thing." I doubt his ability to give valuable advice, but I'll keep that in mind. Moreover, the thing was too expensive to buy and not cling to now. I decided to talk to Rob, get some sleep, or leave. Well, there's Rob. Rob, camp, forest, creatures, never mind. Rob? I decided to ask him about himself. He answered, "Yep, it's me. Been stuck in this hell of a forest for centuries. That's for sure. I ain't getting younger, you see. it becomes difficult to continue searching for a way out. I haven't seen another human in a long, long time. Guess he will not be much of help in getting out of there. Camp? I asked him about the camp. He answered, "It is safe. I've never been attacked here. Maybe the fire's scaring them off. Too risky to check. So I... Okay. So I keep it burning all the time, you see." I asked him about the forest. He answered, "It's a cruel one. I was even younger than you are now when I got stuck in this prison of a forest. Can you imagine that? I never wanted to last so long when I was free, but something makes me hold on to life here. Still, it's nice to sometimes meet other folks here, even if they don't stay for quite as long. That's why I hope you'll be the one to finally find a way out and surely let me leave this place too. I don't want to die here and become one of them. What's wrong with this place?" I asked him about the creatures I saw before passing out. He answered, "Right, some indeed call them creatures. You see, buddy, it's a lot of different folks in here, not only creatures. I call them pups personally. Wicked pups. There are more clever ones, shadowy ones, those things in the sky, and those under the water. And here are friendly ones, like you and I. But most of our kind just vanish so quickly you ain't get a chance to know them better. Luckily, you stumbled upon me soon." I didn't dare object. I mean, we can get some sleep to see what that's about. Okay. I decided not to waste time and explore the forest further. As I was leaving the camp, Rob called out to me and asked, "Since you're all set to go, would you maybe bring me my ladle? I lost the thing very recently and can't stop thinking about it. Can't stir me no good apple soup without that." "But why apple?" "Why apple? 'Cause it's all you can find to eat in here, damn it. I lost it not so far from here. Just the next place marked on the map after my camp. And you probably have better eyesight, so I'm sure you can do that. Me? I can't see a thing there. Oh, and bring some wood if you happen to find any. Though I have plenty in stock, I made sure of that. Chop chop. All these years just like that. Be careful out there with the folks. It's crawling with them everywhere. And return here to rest from time to time. You gotta keep your progress in mind, yeah? And it ain't possible with no good sleep, unless you're keen on pointlessly making the same mistakes over and over again." Not sure what that meant. Anyway, I better check the map now. Okay, so we sleep in order to save our progress. Okay, so it's kind of like a journal. So we can look at the map to look at all that we've explored. So we can go all the way to the beginning and just look at everything. I still don't know what the riddles are. I mean, in notes we can put find Rob's ladle. Sleep to save progress. Why not? August 17th. Swings, 1923. The map Rod gave me looks somewhat weird and awfully simplified. I'll see if it's accurate. Hope I'll be able to find my way back to the camp when I'm done. It took me some time to reach a new place. I assumed it was the one depicted on the map because of a dilapidated swing-like contraption lying around a tree. Upon closer inspection, I realized it was more likely some kind of broken animal trap. Sharp stakes chaotically stuck in the ground nearby, only backed up by my guess. Now, I have to find out what I was asked to. I believe it'd be better to stick to certain tactics if I want to take care of it quickly and get out of the forest with extra help. Apart from the camp, the forest is plunged into total darkness, but generally, I am able to distinguish more or less the surroundings and search around with no light at all. I'd capture everything at once to be sure I didn't leave anything important behind, but I have to manage my Polaroid paper, as I don't know how much I'll need. Rob and those things definitely won't have some to lend me, will they? I decided to look around, take a photo, or leave. I searched around, but finding anything in the dark was problematic. The old man wasn't joking about it. I decided to take a photo, but don't know how to explain it properly. But after going off, the flash of my camera seems to freeze in time, or create an invisible light source that illuminates the surroundings, even if only faintly, for a much longer period than it's supposed to. All the nearest objects stay visible to me somehow. I decided to look around again. I soon spotted the ladle, almost glowing because of its metallic texture. It was weird, to say the least, having a neck too wide for the bowl to be suitable for containing liquid. Handmade, too. I also noticed a caged trap with something barely visible inside. It was closed, and there was a set of buttons on either side, likely to use to unlock it. But I didn't know the right combination. I decided to leave. I left. Here we go. Oh, and it's raining. Talk to Rob. Ladle. I emptied half my backpack trying to find the ladle, and when I finally did, Rob grabbed it out of my hand cheerfully and said, "Attaboy, I almost lost all my hope by now. But you're a promising fellow. Look, there's another problem you absolutely have to help me with. I just want some apples, a bit more so I can make me some good soup. Bring them to me or else I'll soon fade from this. Damned hunger and won't be able to help you get out of here." Apples? I don't remember seeing a single apple tree around here. I'll see what I can do. He suddenly pointed out the flare gun I found shortly after I got lost in the forest. "What are the odds? This is mine too. But no matter, you can have it if you wish, buddy. After all, I forgot to hide it there till you brought it back to me, and it's also broken." "Well, thanks. I'll just leave it at camp." Get some rest. Alright, moving on. Okay, I see. So we have to put that we left in order to move to another area. All those failed traps made me paranoid about stepping into any others that might also be present and still working around the forest. So I stared at the ground, determined to notice the smallest change in its texture, till I did. It wasn't a trap, however, but numerous thin trails lacking grass, as if something small had been dragged. I couldn't see how far. I decided to look around, examine the trails, or take a photo. I crouched to examine the trail better. They led in different directions and were occasionally interrupted by shallow pits, the nature of which I couldn't define. They were too neat to be dug manually. Real quick, let's change our notes. We'll go done. We'll go find Rob some apples. Nope, didn't mean to do that. Oh. Should forest to the meant to their back, still it right, it soon. Their hope possibilities have completely understood and is straight one. Nothing riddles wise. But this is forming something here. Look around. I finally decided to look up and around. Can't say if it's important, but I found a symmetrical group of dots nearly unnoticeable on a tree bark. What could it possibly be? I decided to put the journal down, take a photo, or leave. After I took a photo, I noticed a battered paper sheet covered in sand under my feet, saying, "I like digging holes and hiding things inside them. When I grow all the hope, I won't forget to find them." Also, a few pits among the trails had tiny wildflower heads put in. The rest, empty ones, and only indentations of different kinds, round, square, and resembling small bottles. Put the journal down, put something in a pit, or leave. I'm not sure what we're supposed to do these. I put one piece of Polaroid paper in a pit and immediately disappeared, sinking into the sand. Nothing else happened. I decided to put another thing in the pit. Still nothing. Because we need a combination for this. Right? And the only way we can get the combination, and I'm guessing, has to do with this. Because it looks like it could be a combination. But I'm not sure. Oh, we can go to a new area. I approached what appeared to be a simple, half-demolished building, its roof gone and piles of bricks scattered across the floor. Despite the first impression, it turned out to be way more complex and crooked, with its uneven structure unnaturally extending straight into the thicket. When I stepped inside to check if I could find anything useful, something crunched loudly under my feet. It felt almost like a rock, but sharper. I froze. It may be dangerous to go further, especially blindly. I have enough Polaroid paper to take another photo. I decided to take a photo. Oh. It was human bones. I stepped on one of the hundreds, fully covering the floor. Some still had meat on them. I sprinted out immediately, thinking the culprit might be in the building, but I didn't notice one in the darkness. Besides, I spotted something shiny among the remains when the flash illuminated them. But should I? I decided to check it out. Sure, why not? I took a closer look. Apparently it was a palm-sized glass vial, hollow inside but entirely solid with no opening or cap. I took it with me despite it being useless. I decided to look around outside the building and by the entrance. Found nothing particular, except I did notice the ground was trampled in several different directions, leading to the woods. I decided to leave. I left. Now I bet you, if we go here and we put this vial in the pit, or not. Okay, never mind. August 20th, Copse, 2025. I'm moving through yet another cluster of trees, except these appear to be all thin, with leaves occupying their top only. The sky is barely visible here as well. Nothing. What was that sound? Like an animal roar, a painful one. I carefully followed the source. The poor thing is bent to the ground, groaning quietly. It's not so big, and I can't quite tell what kind of animal it is. I'll make sure before approaching it. I decided to take a photo. Oh. No, anything but that. It wasn't an animal. It resembles the creatures I saw earlier. It has a long, thin tail. Its body is unevenly covered with fur. The torso is dripping with something black, and one of its horns seems to be broken off. Its lower jaw. I can't see it. Words appeared on the photo when I took it. I didn't immediately understand what that was. I decided to help it or do nothing. It says, help, help, help. Sure. Oh! Okay. I decided to get closer and that fucking dipshit just jumped up and took a chunk out of me. Backing away immediately after, I feel dizzy. It's difficult to understand what the little demon is trying to say. He seems interested in my journal too, watching me closely as I write this down. And is probably as well surprised as I am by the fact I hear him speak using photos and not my ears. I could ask for the details, but if the blank space on the Polaroid runs out, I might need to take another picture. I decided to try to talk to CD. Or LD? It says, help, help. Hee hee, another gullible. What are these photos? You one lucky bastard to be able to hear me so. My bad. It gets worse and I need souls to control myself. You do too to escape. Bring 5 from the lake. Yet he shook his head when I tried to ask something and seemed to be in a hurry. When I was ready to leave, he passed me a handful of vials looking just like the one I found inside the ruined building, except a lot dirtier. I wonder if those are used for obtaining the souls of whatever he was talking about. I didn't get to ask him that. He's already gone where I came from. I don't see anything notable around, except for a trail of blood where LD was lying and leading behind the bushes. I decided to leave. I left. Oh. LD. I asked Rob if he knew something about the little demon I stumbled upon and described his appearance. Rob said, "They're all no good, scary things. This one's a spoiled, noisy pup, always trying to get him attention. But I never deal with him." I returned to the ruined building and noticed LD beside it, easily recognizable thanks to his horn's silhouette. When he approached me, I had to step back reflexively, as he was quite different from how I remembered him. When we first met, he barely reached up to my shoulder in height, but now he was looking at me from up high. He did look more menacing, yet his attitude stayed the same. He obviously expected me to help him with the souls, and so was not willing to hurt me, I believed. I hesitated to ask him about the sudden appearance change at the time, and he looked as he was supposed to a moment later anyways. I decided to talk to LD. "What's the matter? I don't bite. Mostly." I asked him about himself, which he seemingly didn't expect. I explained that I pretty much accepted I went crazy the moment I saw him again, but I was curious about what he was exactly. "And not scared? No, am I a crazy breakdown? Finally, I was like you one day. Now I am what you see I am." I asked him about the souls thing. "For you, it's the key to escape. Sooner you master them, higher your chance. You'll see. In my case, it's a cure for my sick thoughts." Escape? I asked him if he knew how I could escape the forest. "I know. I can't do that anymore. Now we both need souls, but for different reasons. You're the first one in a long time I'm given this chance to. I believe in ya. Go search for him already." Rob. I asked him about Rob. "Who? Another one. Could have used his help too, but the old fart is as stubborn as I can get." Sanity. I decided to ask him why I always felt dizzy after talking to him. Why did he call me like that? "No can do about that. Lucky 13th. Your fragile mind ain't used to speaking with such powerful beings, especially one like me." Vials? I decided to ask him about the vials. "Yes, each one's a vial to contain a soul. What'd you think it was? Want me to tell you where to find more? Makes me wonder why I need you at all." Okay. I decided to leave. I left. So the red is my health and the blue is my sanity bar. So obviously if I'm not careful, I could die. So sleep gives me my sanity back, but not my health. I asked Rob what souls were and how to master them. He looked at me concerned and said, "The pup talked to you, didn't he? Ain't no good listening to him. Twisted mind that one has." Okay, hold on. Now I can see why there's the notes section. Find souls for LD. Alright, there we go. It's a little bit organized now. August 22nd, Natural Arch, 2024. At first, my way further was eerily empty and deprived of any particular features. Trying to make out the scribbles, I used the map repeatedly to check I was walking right. Soon, one of the next marks was explained to me by a series of balanced stones that started appearing one by one on both sides of me. There were flat pebbles forming small, thin towers randomly scattered around. Then I reached a natural arch formed from the interlocking branches of towering trees, as if deliberately twisted into place. An end of the rope wrapped around one of them was hanging down invitingly. I could reach it if I jumped. I decided to pull the rope or leave it be. Probably expecting something extraordinary to happen, I decided to pull the rope. Most of it remained tightly fixed above. Well, if I ever need one, I could return there and cut some off. My chest began to hurt. I thought maybe it was caused by yet another supernatural force disturbed by my actions. But no, I was simply hungry. I hadn't eaten for days long before I got in this forest. Damn that stress. If things get worse, I could always check my backpack for some food. That is, if I ever find something substantial to eat. I don't think I have anything to eat. I decided to take a photo. I took a photo and noticed the patchy bark coverage had numerous claw marks, darkening it with something slimy. In some places, they formed perfectly shaped rectangles. I counted 8 of them. It immediately made me think of the framed 8 on my tie. I remember how it was embroidered on the backside of it a few years ago. Now I am late. I'm so fucking late. What does it matter now? I might as well throw the thing away right here. So I did. Doesn't matter. I just want to go back. I decided to leave. I left. I'm running out of Polaroid papers very quickly. Not a good thing. Alright, I guess moving on. August 23rd. Elevated Forest, 210100 hours. I always feel like somebody's watching me. Time feels distorted in this forest. The sky's still dark, just like when I got here. Already growing close to one another, the trees around me became increasingly bent, to the point where their branches and even trunks intertwined, as if bowing in a dance. In the end, they formed a fairly steep climb, which was the only way to proceed. It had some gaps I couldn't see through because of the dense foliage. I decided to avoid the gaps or use them as footholds. Use them as footholds. I decided to use them as footholds, and it worked out well. The way up was less challenging than I initially expected. Soon, I was able to walk as the treetops leveled out, and I almost forgot those were not just a usual ground. Partly because there was nothing particularly remarkable up high, despite the distance covered. I didn't see the sky clearly, but as a thin, vibrant blue line, the area was surrounded from both sides by even larger trees, unevenly towering over the ones under me. Take a photo. I wonder if there's something hidden underneath. All the leaves prevent me from confirming or denying it, and the flash wasn't enough to dispel the darkness between them for some reason. I decided to leave. I can't say if it was an illusion, a fault of my inattention or memory. Before I knew that, the trees under my feet were in fact replaced by ground. The thought made my head spin. I continued walking. To top it all off, it started raining. I tried to concentrate on my surroundings and ignore the fact that I was soaked, and as well as the noise around me. In an instant, a haunting sense of someone else's presence struck me. I turned around abruptly, trying to determine its source, and almost immediately a gazing of glowing orange eyes met mine. The massive silhouette of their owner, standing motionlessly, towering over me even from a distance. I couldn't help but smack the cam's shutter button immediately to capture it. I decided to take a photo. Oh. I knew it was another, whatever this thing is. It looks moth-like with those antennae and the cloak or wings, I'm not sure. It has 3 eyes and a face resembling a bony mask with an unnaturally wide mouth. I can't say if it's actually friendly or just pretending to be. I decided to. And so we meet. Speak to me if you will. There are no limits to my words. However, I do believe you are aware of those your memory has. Talked him off. Moth? I decided to ask about himself. Apparently he wants neither to help me nor kill me, but I'm sure I could use any information he might share. I am not here to help you, as you were doomed the moment the forest decided so. Yet I am here to observe your struggle, reasonable or not, until the moment you die at the hands of another. I tried to ask him about the effects I felt after talking to LD, but couldn't quite explain it, and he stopped me mid-sentence. They said it's called spiritism. Don't know why. I don't feel it being affected by him. You humans adore attributing terms to things you do not understand, so let me simplify it for you. The others call it spiritism. The impact you may get from dealing with the dead. The higher it is, the more your physical body dissolves. The last stage is death, in case you did not figure that out. Souls? I asked him about souls, but he didn't tell me much and said I was supposed to find out the details myself. This is what will become of you in the end. If you remain unwilling to accept the fate, your fate afterworld will not be inviolable. The rest is not for me to say. Your outcome depends on how you choose to manage them. So make sure to learn what you can about them first before jumping to conclusions. LD. I asked him about LD. He approved he was a human before turning into the creature he is now. He is a creature. A former human transformed after his death in accordance with one of the two possible outcomes. Not the one he expected or wanted, that is for sure. Rob. I asked him about Rob. He appears to be annoyed that he wants to escape the forest. An old fool that is still clinging to the hope of escaping. What a waste of time. Escape. I asked him if he knew anything about how I could escape this place. He told me to forget the possibility. I'm not giving up just yet. What could a man like you possibly change in the established cycle? They all made decisions according to their own moral compass. You do, you die, and the forest claims yet another victim. I merely tell you the truth. It is your choice to accept or deny it. There is no escape. I asked what he could tell me about the forest. Didn't understand a thing he said. Must say, I will never cease to be amazed by the variety of wonders the universe provides us with. It is simply that not everyone is able to observe and appreciate them. Forest is a self-replenishable vault for them, would you not agree? Belongs to nobody. Responsible but for only one thing. Existing. Reality itself shifts constantly here. It tends to things, what is intruding. Contemplating the incomplete. Shredding the perfection. I could talk about it all day, but it is always night, huh? Creatures. I asked him about the other creatures this forest's teeming with. Do not judge them too harshly once they seek your attention. What else does one have to do? Being damned if not trying to have fun? When the time comes, you will understand. Vials. I asked him about the vials. Feels like I can find them anywhere, but should I really? Truth be told, even I do not know where exactly those come from. They appear to be filled, and it just works. Choose wisely who you give them to, if you care about your future here, of course. I decided to leave. He insisted that he accompany me, and I couldn't risk refusing the offer, so we walked side by side. His presence made me anxious, but not as much as the option of being killed by someone who I couldn't even try to convince not to. Strangely, his words disappear and are replaced with new ones on the Polaroids. Unlike LD's. Venturing further into the forest, we come across a small open space, its ground completely covered by something glistening. The amount of moonlight was not enough for me to distinguish what that was exactly. It looked like thick vines at first. When I got closer, however, those turned out to be whole piles of snakes, which caused me to immediately step away, bumping my back against the damn overgrown moth who, surprisingly, hadn't yet killed me by then. I almost forgot he was there in all the silence. I decided to check the photo of Moth, take a closer look at the snakes first. I checked the photo of Moth to see if he could still tell me anything else. He said there was no danger, and when I looked closer at the snakes, I noticed they were all motionless. Moreover, some were tied in a knot. Do not be afraid. We seem to hold no interest to them. And bypass the snakes. Untie a snake. That will bypass. I wasn't in the mood to get bitten if one of them eventually decided to pay attention to me, so I carefully walked past them. I doubt there was anything useful among them too. Be careful what you pick up the next time as well, scaredy cat. It seems like this moth guy has a bit more of a joking matter than the other ones. Not a single one of the snakes is moving here. They seem frozen, their heads turned to the side and eyes peering at the sky. I reflexively lifted mine too, but noticed nothing unusual up there. I decided to leave. They're all the snakes. I decided to leave. Moth nodded slightly and stayed where he was, so I could calm down a bit, knowing he was finally off my back. Until we meet again. I'm almost out of Polaroids. I walk through the forest with Moth, passing a cliff, a swamp, dragging my feet through the thorny plants. I feel safe as long as he's near, but he keeps disappearing and returning. In a clearing of tall grass and bushes, he warns me about the snakes before disappearing again. I can't see anything under my feet at first. When I finally discern the glare of scales and snake eyes surrounding me, I dash to climb a tree. Each one breaks under my weight until I find one sturdy enough. Before long, something wraps around my arm, and I fall into the snakes below. Instead of hitting the ground, I land in a dark, damp place. I'm trying to move as the space brightens. I am a fang of a giant snake, biting into thick, impenetrable skin. With each crunch, the snake fails, and I shatter piece by piece. I am confused what that was about, but okay. I asked Rob what he knew about Moth. He shook his head and said, well, ain't that one's a menacing fellow. Can't find a proper slipper against a bug that big. Nothing else. I asked Rob about spiritism, except I explained it to him in other words. He said, should have reminded me earlier. The thing's dangerous. That's why you don't want to speak to the folks. They're pulling the mind out of you. Not every one of them, of course, but the most. And if there's no speaking to hurt your mind, there are still sharp claws and teeth to hurt your body. I decided to leave. I asked him about Moth. Big head. Never even looks at me, why bother? Fucking hell, and we could be such a team. Okay. So it seems like everyone in this forest knows who each other are. August 26th. Fallen tree, 20/2400 hours. I slid into the next place on the map on a carpet of bent stems, roots, and grass. The latter was slightly ticklish and clung to my clothes, but I didn't attach much importance to it then. At the bottom of that funnel-like space, there happened to be a freshly fallen tree, which I'm using now as a stopping point to write this down. I decided to look around the tree, search the tree crown, or take a photo. It's still working. After I take a photo, the light stays, well, in the air. Around, how do I even explain this? I decided to search the tree crown. I decided to check the tree crown and search between the branches before pulling out a bird's nest full of eggs. I took it with me to bring to the camp so Rob could look after the yet unhatched nestlings while I was gone. I decided to look around the tree. And my hand brushed against the velvet texture of a small old black hat lying under the vegetation. It was decorated with 2 fake roses and a pin with a precious blue stone. I left. August 27th. Singing trees. 02:2800 hours. The wind picked up, carrying a deep, prolonged melody that overlapped with muffled pounding from somewhere below, like rain on the roof, but each time heard from a different side. I found myself among the dead trunks of a grove, similar to others I had already encountered on my way, except here the trees were especially old and marked by cavities which were the source of those ringing sounds. Each time a new gust of wind came through them, they responded with a shaky hum. Look around, take a photo, listen to the rhythm of the rain. I tried to find something worthwhile. At some point, out of the corner of my eye, I saw one of the distant trees instantly and silently vanish into thin air. I'm still confused by my reaction. I felt strangely indifferent the entire time I was there, so I didn't pay the slightest attention to that. Instead, the latter was drawn to a wet paper sheet lying on the ground. Where once was lying silenced wounded heart of sorrows, full of aspiring thus to feel alive embedded deep within. A seemingly incomplete poem was written on it. I doubted its value, but wrote it down in a separate journal section nevertheless, in the previously emptied folded paper sheet Rob gave me earlier. To be exact, for some reason, the ink just wouldn't stay on the page beside it. Okay. The place looks lifeless, its gray surroundings pointlessly wobble under the unchanging night sky. If it rains, I have no place to take shelter, and the camp's too far to make it back quickly enough. Weird. Where once was lying silenced wounded heart, of sorrows full of aspiring thus to feel alive embedded deep within. Bird's nest. I handed Rob the bird nest found near the fallen tree and asked him to look after it since he usually stays at the camp, unlike me. He placed it on one of the boxes and said, "I'll take care of them, alright." He's probably gonna eat them. I squeeze my way through a tangle of twisted trees. Before one last push forward, I slide back to where I started. Pinned beneath the tree trunks, I lie between their sprawling roots as dead leaves slowly drift down and, layer by layer, bury me along with any hope of ever being found. We're starting to get more dialogue now when we sleep, which is weird. August 28th. Hollow. 04:1700 hours. The next place was reminiscent of Doll Hollow despite the slopes being not so steep or large enough to belong to one. At their base, where I was, there was no trees to the very horizon, or at least I couldn't see them. I invariably bumped into what I believed to be tree trunks every time I started to budge. It reeked of autumn there. Abundant falling leaves swirled around, disorientating me even more. Almost out of Polaroid pictures, by the way. I decided to take a photo so my body wouldn't suffer through any more bruises, but it was of no help. There are no trees in this hollow, but it doesn't prevent me from sensing their not so obvious yet definite presence. As for the leaves, it's like they're falling from the sky instead of rain. I also noticed a whole lot of ants circling on the ground here and there. Good thing I did that before crushing those of them still alive. I decided to take the risk and look around the place. Sadly, among all the invisible trees, I didn't find a single invisible hint concerning how the fuck I was supposed to leave this forest behind at long last. But then I kicked something, moving through a pile of dry leaves, and that something turned out to be a neat gun and 2 full magazines for it, all that carefully wrapped in a cloth. I'd recognize it anywhere. Smith & Wesson, model 39-2. I got a gun and 16 bullets. Okay. I remember those being fresh on the market. I took it with me, of course. I didn't question how the gun could have ended up there. And I don't question it now. It's not what matters most. Feeling my way out of the hollow, I proceeded. August 28th, house, 17:3500 hours. Following the map gets pretty tricky. I mainly use the gaps between treetops to navigate between the places I discover, listing the areas where the sky is clearly, barely, and not all of that visible, and arranging them in the right order to recall on the way back. All I can see aside from that is a bunch of pitch black silhouettes and shapes almost all the time. I noticed one resembling another building. When I got closer, it turned out to be an oddly looking long abandoned house with a porch and everything. At that point, I was sure I could stumble upon anything here, as if the forest had trapped not only people but whole houses, cities, or whatever. I walked in, and all the sounds died away. The place is all dusty, the boards are uncannily dry and pointy. There's someone standing in front of me. Take a photo. Oh, great. God fucking damn it. Are those things getting uglier on purpose? Oh, this one is tall and slim and extremely pale with a long ghostly hood descending evenly over his body. The flash was not enough to illuminate the lower part of his face, neck, and abdomen. The vague dark clothing draped over his hips fully covering his legs, its hem reaching the very floor. Do I know you? No? I might die. I decided to answer his question negatively as it was the truth. He tilted his head slightly, as if examining me. I think I'm not in danger, at least for now. He seems to have a particular interest in souls, too. His name is Slim. Do I know you? Yeah, we could help each other. If you get souls, give them to me only. Always. It is the only right decision to make. Talk to Slim. I had to ask him about himself. I've been trapped here for a long while now. Can't leave the place without souls, and I need them to do that. I'm wasting Polaroid papers asking these. I asked him about the effect I felt while talking to him, but couldn't quite explain it. Luckily, he understood what I was trying to say. Your spiritism, the price to pay for communicating with the forest's victims, may be deadly if you overdo it. I won't affect it any further if you prove yourself worthy. By that, I mean you are to think through your every decision thoroughly, especially if it's related to souls. I asked him about LD. He suddenly tensed up, so I took a few steps back, expecting an attack, but the distance between us stayed the same somehow, and he just let me understand that they didn't get along. Little demon, nah. Fitting name, however. Surely, he got to you sooner than you came across me, isn't that so? And surely, he tried to convince you to give him souls too. The bastard is not the one you should be listening to. You'll be doomed if you do. I'll be honest, I'm not aware of his exact intentions, but I am not certain those can't be good. Moth? Asked him about Moth. I have no idea what he is. He seems no harm, but provides little utility. Do not ignore him, nevertheless. Souls? They are little human souls. To capture them, you need only awareness and vials. The cursed things are an automatic trap, no matter who the holder is. Asked him about Rob. Never met or heard about such. Keep in mind, I cannot leave this house. I'm gonna run out of escape. I asked him if he knew how I could escape the forest. Listen, you cannot. You choose to either worsen or ease your pain during death and what comes after it. And it is in my power to make yours less gruesome. I asked him about the other creatures this forest is teeming with. There are not only creatures but also entities. One glance is often enough to tell them apart. At least for the latter. I'm not sure if creatures are able to distinguish even their own kind. In the end, it's complicated to stumble upon an intelligent one at all. Search the house. Oh, I'm dead. Search the house. The concentration of gloomy beings in my life was high enough by that time, so I decided to take a look around the house. Can't say it was successful. The slim one glared at me so menacingly that I gave up after the first step, not too eager to make him any angrier than he already seemed. Okay. I left. August 28th, Receding Woods, 6:42. I admit it, I am scared, but the fear subsides at once as I'm confronted with something new. I'm not crazy. I don't understand what's happening, yet all this whining is not what I'm supposed to write down. I have to record only those things I want to remember and focus on. The events happening to me that may be worth attention, but how can I even be sure that any of this is real? I see things that simply cannot be. Maybe it's the fatigue, or more likely another trick this damn place has for me. But my head spins, and only gets worse. Weirdly enough, the surroundings look as usual. Just awfully repetitive. At some point, a fox hastily crossed the path and, surprised by my presence, dropped a small wooden sign behind it. Take a photo? Nothing unusual here. This area is very similar to all of the previous thickets. I decided to pick up the sign, but as I walked closer, it somehow appeared to be even further away from me than before. One couldn't possibly handle such a rapid change of perspective without falling. Try to get the sign again. I tried getting the sign again, but wasn't successful all the same. It kept drifting away with each attempt to reach it. And then the idea came to my mind. Instead of walking toward it, I started to walk backward, and the sign actually grew nearer, close enough to see what was written on it. A set of numbers. 23, 15, 18, 4. Guess I can write that down. 23, 15, 18, 4. Code on wooden sign. Look around. I decided to look around. I couldn't. The around was escaping me, shifting and receding constantly with my every step. I decided to leave. I braced myself and hurried forward. It was easier to do while looking down rather than to the sides. Alrighty then. I finally escaped. The gas station, once out of reach, stands right in front of me. Realizing that nothing holds me back anymore, I slowly walk toward it. But with every step, it becomes more difficult. Fear creeps up my spine, growing heavier until I can no longer move. Frozen in place, I watch greenery overgrow the surroundings. Trees pierce the station, tearing it apart. The creature runs past on all fours without even noticing my body. I'm so very tired. Forest has no end. I asked Rob what he knew about Slim. After thinking a little, he said, "Ain't sure about that one. You keep befriending all kinds of folks instead of seeking a way out, aren't you?" Alright. August 29th. Mushroom Path. I'm almost out of Polaroids. I was nearly knocked off my feet with fear by the sight of countless clusters of glowing orange eyes emerging from every surface before me. I immediately thought of a large gathering of moth lookalikes ready to lash out at me, and the idea gave me the shivers, except those were only perfectly round mushroom caps, all facing me no matter where they were growing from, thus with no stripes visible to distinguish them as such at first glance. And they were, in fact, growing everywhere. Some exploded from my steps. The air was musty, probably because of the spores polluting it. I didn't know if those were dangerous, but I thought it would be best to find something to cover my face with before exploring the place. Take a photo. The roots of massive trees, their trunks as well as the ground are all dotted with mushrooms. I doubt there's anything else that could be useful. I decided to look around for a bit, but didn't find anything except for the mushrooms. I believe they could come in handy, but I really shouldn't have stayed there any longer. My thoughts were progressively becoming more and more clouded. Collect the mushrooms. Uh-oh. When I started to collect them, my mind went completely blank. The next thing I knew, I was lying face down, slightly away from the path, where there were none, and without any in my backpack too. I really should find a way to protect myself from the spores. I had to leave. August 29th, Inky Place, 1200 hours. It was no easier to cross the next one either. First, my attention was caught by the gurgling sounds coming from puddles of black, viscous liquid flowing down the tree trunks from somewhere above. Their branches were almost leafless, yet made the sky barely visible. Refill the bottle? I decided to refill my water bottle with the liquid so that later I could examine it more closely in a spare moment. Who knows what use I could find for it. Thanks to the photo, I could distinguish something else on one of the trees, numerous recesses ascending like stairs. My attempts to go up were promptly interrupted by a massive cloud of substance that fell right on my head, wobbling and jiggling its way out of my grasp till I managed to throw it off me into the tall grass. I jumped down myself. I saw then that the ground was covered in cracks and some small marble-like spheres of the same color started to roll out of them. I decided to crush them or observe them. Their number rose dramatically. They emerged and soon covered almost all of the surroundings, making it complicated to move through. That was a strong incentive to leave the place as soon as possible. I left. August 30th, Lake of Souls, 05:0500 hours. As I approached the lake, I heard a guttural roar behind me, rapidly growing louder as I got closer. It hit me then that I had completely forgotten to consider the water might attract not just animals, but deadly predators typically found in large wild forests. I spun around only to confirm my chance to act carefully and avoid getting hurt more than I deserved was blown. The huge bear was charging straight at me. Shoot it. I panicked and decided to shoot it. To find a gun before that encounter was convenient, to say the least. The bear didn't even flinch. It was already too close to me, so I braced myself for the impact. But it ran past me, dived straight into the water, and disappeared under its surface after a few seconds. The scene shook me. That all felt like a distant memory hastily fading away even then. Nothing seems off here. I have no idea what could have lured the bear in. And what about the souls? Could humans be susceptible to the thing as well? I feel fine for now. I approached the lake. Another one. I thought that must have been the lake the little demon was talking about. I walked up to the water and felt my backpack grow heavy. One of the vials has changed. Was a soul captured in it? I wasn't sure. I didn't do anything to make it happen. I knew nothing. I knew nothing about it then. I examined the vial closely. I had expected it to be filled with something glowing, or at least light in appearance, but its contents were pitch black and smoky, reminiscent of silhouettes surrounding me, which had vanished before I could catch a clear glimpse of them. I decided to capture more souls. I searched for more, but there were none left. Perhaps I could return here later. Both LD and Slim appear eager to get their hands on them. Then if they really know how to escape this place, maybe I should give this one away too. Since when do I listen to some beings beyond my comprehension anyway? Relying on a crazy old man's help doesn't seem an appealing option to me either. And that damn moth. What's his problem? I already spent too much time wandering around. I have to make up my mind now. As I turned back, I noticed something on the ground. It wasn't there before. Put the journal down. Thank you for playing the demo. It was merely a glimpse into the game's concept and core mechanics. We wouldn't want to spoil all the fun, now would we? In the full release version of Contra Spem Spero, you can look forward to all existing locations to explore and revisit, routes to choose from, more characters to meet, various new dialogue themes, solvable puzzles in all their layered glory, even more opportunities to make questionable life and death decisions, and of course, so much more. Find a way out of the forest. And without further ado, thank you so much for watching Contra Spem Spero. Now, this visual novel is very unique as it is its own standalone game. It tries to do something different that a lot of games don't. It has its own survival aspect, its own progression, its own map, honestly. It kind of reminds me of Darkwood. It revolves around the forest. A lost soul is trapped in it, and they have to figure out how to get out of it. And there's these people or inhabitants of the forest that have either gone through horrible things with their soul, they're a monster or a ghost, and they have their own stories behind it. I think the only difference is that this game has more of its own features than any other game I think I've tried. Now, I'm sure I probably missed things in this game, as there was that little dot on the bark puzzle and also the rhythm of the rain, but I believe, however, that it is going to have to do with the full release as it's not available in the demo. However, I could be wrong. Maybe I missed something that could have been done, dropping something in the pit. Unknown. What I would like to see in the future is how they're going to handle the hunger. Is there going to be a hunger bar along with health and mental, your spiritism? Or is there... How are we going to handle our Polaroid photos? Obviously, the Polaroids are going to be the main part of the story. And since there is 42 main locations and 13 secret locations coming into the full release, are we going to be able to get more Polaroid photos, or are we just going to have to survive with what little we have? I'm not sure. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in another Let's Play. Adios, and goodbye.